everybody. Today's video is about found poetry. Now, this is probably one of my favorite kinds of poems. There are actually kind of two ways to do this. The first way is, relatively simple, but the key is it's kind of like luck of the draw. Because the way you do a found poem is you take a book that you don't mind tearing up. Oh, yes, I'm actually going to ask you to do this. And this is, might be a little bit scary, but I want you to take a book that you don't particularly mind doing anything with and just open it to a random page. Whatever random page you find, you tear it out. Yeah, you tear it out. Now, at school, I have a whole box of books that say, found poetry books, and I let my kids tear it out, but, we're not at school, so you're going to have to try to find a book that you can do this with. And I do at school, if you can't follow the directions the first time, I do allow you a second tear. But truly, it does not matter what's on the page. You just need to make sure you get a page that's filled completely. Don't tear out a page that's like only half, like the beginning of a chapter. Don't tear out a page like that, but the full page. Now, I guess the easiest way to do this poem, oh, and look, I have a t-shirt with books on it. The easiest way to do this poem is to do what's called the blackout form. Now, the blackout form is when you don't worry about the words that are written on the page. That's not the important part. The page can be about anything. What you do is you go in and you try to find special words that if you put those together, it creates a different meaning, okay? So I'm going to show you an example. This one is a professional example. You can Google search blackout poems and you'll get to see all kinds of different ideas, but this one's one of my favorites. And what you actually do is you take a marker or a pencil or a pen, doesn't matter, and you actually black out all the words except for the words that you want to be as a part of your poem. Now, this type of poetry is called free verse. It does not rhyme, typically. So what you're trying to do is find a thought that's on the page that has nothing to do with the topic of the page, but is a complete thought all its own. So this one is an example. I'll show you what it looks like. You can see all the words have been blacked out except for certain words, and this is what it says. Anyone can scribble out words. The clever part is knowing which words to leave. And that is a blackout poem. Now, that was written by a professional, okay? This was written by one of my former students. And this is why I ask you to sign all of your poetry like a piece of artwork, because I have no clue who wrote this poem or who created this poem, because they didn't sign it like a piece of artwork. So anyway, this one's called Poor Girl, and it's a blackout poem. Now, this person tore out a page from a book called The Fiddler's Bill, and this is what it looks like, and this is what the poem says. She struggled and worked for food, clean shirts she never had. She had no money to buy meat. She wished she had fruit. The girl did not live. So it's kind of a sad one, but that's what this person, who remains unnamed because they didn't sign it like a piece of artwork, did in 5th grade. Now, there is another area of found poems which I truly think is fabulous. These are the more artistic versions. Now, I'm going to show you a professional one first. You're not going to believe this one. I'm going to read it to you first, and then I'm going to show it to you. Leaving town like a kid on a bicycle. A small parade on bikes with high handlebars, pedaled with no hands. Were you moving, headed for my mirrored mountain? The west and the sun? Why's you gonna go? It was the road we had to take. Under branches. Any more questions? And look what this person found on that page. This was from a book called Needles in the Dark. They tore out a page from there. But they found the words, and then they found a way to illustrate the words on the page. Are you ready? Wow! They've got a mountain, they've got the road under the branches that the bicyclist is going for, and isn't that beautiful? Love it. This was the first example of this kind of poem that I ever saw. And so this is what inspired me to try to get my kids to do this. Now I'm going to show you one more professional, and then I'm going to show you some actual 5th graders' work, which is fabulous. Okay, here's one called The Dark Sea. The dark sea, yelling, slamming, rocking. The restless sea yelled, "Come with me." Looking eyes full of fog. 1 blink, 2, 3. Listen to me. So it's talking about the sea talking to them. And look what they did. I hope you can tell that the more bold the drawing is, the better. This was written by a student who remains unnamed because they didn't sign it like a piece of artwork. But it's called Laughing. The laughs you see, you'll never make when no laughs get out of you. And I don't know if you can see this well, but there's a guy down in this corner, and he's laughing, and laughs are just coming out of him. So that was done by a 5th grader. You can see the guy laughing, and the laughs are coming out. And then I have this example that was written by a student. Now, I got to tell you a little bit about this student. And I left one of my poems, so I've got to go find it while I'm talking to you about this. But this student loved dogs. So, of course, every poem that they wrote had a dog. And so that was, that was kind of funny. But anyway, so she was definitely going to find a dog in her page at some point. So this one's called A Voice of Light. Now I'll read it and then I'll show it to you. His heart allowed life to his dull eyes. Then one night he heard calling him, a great bound face to face, petting him and rubbing. And here you can see they drew a puppy. Isn't that cute? Isn't that cute? All right, this final one I want to show you is truly, truly, absolutely incredible. And this student who created it, oh, don't tell me I don't have it. I've got to go back and find it. The student who created it, let me tell you a little bit about her. Her name was Jessie, and she absolutely adored, there it is, she absolutely adored horses. So, of course, when somebody adores something, they're going to write as many poems as possible about it, which was so fabulous because she tore out a page from one of my books called Johnny Tremaine, and she happened to tear out a page that had the word horse on it. Yay her! And I have this framed because it was really, really so fabulous. I'm going to read the poem to you, and then I'm going to show you what she found. This is from Johnny Tremain again. And you know, Johnny Tremain is a book about the American Revolution. And so the Sons of Liberty. All right. So here is Jessie's poem. Her horse reared. That nervous horse was obviously awfully bored. So this is what she found. Look at it. Behold the beauty. She has two words that were the ears. And I got sort of a light here shining. She's got one word that's the top of the mouth, and then another mouth. And then these words are at the hoofs where the horse is rearing. And there are the other words at the bottom of where the horse is rearing. Isn't that amazing? So she just got lucky. And sometimes that's the way it is with found poems. You just get lucky. So in terms of directions, and if you want to just kind of jot these directions down, the first thing you do is open up a book randomly. Don't search, just randomly find a page, because that makes it more fun. And you can have another page if you just can't find anything out. You can look on the front or the back. All right, so you just scan the whole page. Keep your eye out for any interesting words or any nouns that you can kind of draw upon to come up with a topic. You know, there's obviously going to be some nouns on the page, and that can kind of, an anchor word is a word that you sort of build the rest of the poem around. So it can give you a topic to base it on. It could give you an action even. It could be a verb that gives you an action that you could find. Start with the anchor word and imagine topics or themes that could go along with it. You can kind of use a pencil as you're doing this and just circle any words that you think might be interesting. You might go back and black them out later, but just go through and just, you know, circle things, or like maybe expressions. It doesn't have to be one word. It could be 2 or 3 words in a row. You know, don't circle a whole line. That loses the point of the poem. But, you know, maybe 3 to 4 words at most in a line, preferably 2 to 3. Just kind of go through and circle anything, and then see if you can kind of think through it and see if it makes sense in any way. Let's see. And then you can either kind of do this on a separate sheet of paper, just kind of jot down all the words that you find. You've got to remember it's got to be from top to bottom, left to right. So you have to be able to read the poem top to bottom, left to right. You can't like jump around. It has to be like in order of how you would read it. Let's see. What else do I have down here? Piece them together to form lines. You can eliminate parts of words, like if you have laughing and you just want laugh, then you can black out the ing, so you can do parts of words. Let's see. If you can find something and you just want to do the regular blackout, you can just black out the other words. And sometimes it kind of helps to circle it so that you don't black out something you don't need to black out, that you can kind of see it really well. If you want to try to do the artistic part, that's a little tricky. And I really can't tell you anything other than if you can find that anchor word and you can think of some picture, simple, that would go along with it. You can try to kind of sketch it around the words. One time I had a student, and I don't have a copy of this, that did something about rain, and they actually drew like an umbrella with raindrops, and the words of the poem were actually like the raindrops. So, just think about something. It's not, the blackout, plain and simple, is fine with me. If you, really want to try the artistic as kind of a challenge, I would love to see those, because to me, those are just the ones that are really, really special. And I think it's fabulous. You can do a Google search and see lots of examples. Blackout poems, found poetry, are just, all over the place. People get a big kick out of doing that. And it's a lot of fun. And it's one of my favorite ones because it's just so random. And, I think random sometimes lets you, really explore what possibilities you have with writing the poems. So anyway, I cannot wait to see your poems. I want you to put it in your poetry book, but if you do what I would like for you to do is, if you really, really, really think it's fabulous, please make me a copy of it or send me a picture of it on email, because I would love to see it. I think it's fabulous. Bye. Love you.